Hello and thank you. Welcome to Aspire, Thrive, and Overcome podcast. This is ATO Unfiltered, and we are here with nonetheless with Mr. Nathan Ford. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He's the owner and CEO of this organization. So I'm going to tell you a little about him, and then we're going to pick his brain because he has a lot to share more as a businessman. So, Mr. Ford, I have been working with him for about 3 years very closely. I've known him longer than that. So, this podcast might be a little bit difficult to run just because we have a lot of history, but we'll try to keep it focused on the information that we want to share with you. So, Mr. Ford, uh, first of all, martial arts guru, some of the history, son of a banker. He is a military man. He worked for corporate America, making billions and billions of dollars for one of the bigger organizations. And so, my first question to you, Mr. Ford, is why ATO?
Well, kind of stepping through the history that you laid out, I thought I wanted to be in corporate America. So it was a lot of fun. And when I started, it was the tail end of wonderful business travel, all the extravagancies and all that stuff. But when I got to the mountaintop, I started looking around and going, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So, I had a conversation with my wife. She allowed me to step away. And when I decided to come back, I wanted to come up with a way of giving back to individuals. So I looked for some programs. I found the program that ATO facilitates, and I thought this was the perfect way to do some real good in the community.
Okay, awesome. And like I said, I've had the privilege of working with this man, and I know that he gives out too much to the community. So I'm going to highlight some of those things and later in the podcast. You have built. When I got to this organization, there was a team of like 4 or 5 people.
Yes.
And now you manage, and the organization is a member. I mean, we have over 300 people, I think, working for the organization. And every single person that comes through you, especially that work in the corporate office, they're phenomenal people. What traits do you see in people that you choose them to bring them into your inside circle?
Okay. Great question.
Mm-hmm.
So candidly,
And I'm one of them, just.
candidly, I can be a bit much. I have a large personality. So one of the things I look for is A-type personalities. I need people who are willing to express themselves, independent in thought, not afraid to go against the things that I say. And this might sound kind of like oxymoronic, but be humble enough to ask questions and not be know-it-alls. I don't believe that I know everything. I tell people I'm a collection of all the wonderful people that I've been blessed to be around. And that's really what I look for. I feel like skills can be taught. So I look for the intangibles in people. Once we find, or once I identify those intangibles, then I kind of probe to see if they can be taught. And as long as they're willing to be taught, it usually works out. So I like those independent spirits who like to push the envelope, but are still humble enough to say, hey, am I pushing this envelope the right way?
It sounds like it's hard to find those individuals. Is there any shaping on your part?
Yes, I do a lot of confidence building. My organization is different than other organizations.
Okay.
I don't try to keep people in a box. So it usually takes people about a month or so to realize that it's okay to be themselves at our organization. The other thing that I kind of have to work on is as I find these highly talented people, it becomes more difficult to add to this group because it's almost overwhelming.
Sorry, I'm laughing inside because we live it every day.
Yes, it's a little overwhelming for new individuals to come in and they see all these strong, talented people, and the first thing they say is, I worry if I can fit in. And once they get comfortable, it just grows. So the management team that we've been able to put together has just been phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is a pleasure, really. It's I'm one of those people, and the whole team, I can say, we're some of those people that we want Monday to come on the weekend
Yes.
because we are excited to come and work. We never know what's going to happen. We never know what's going to be thrown on the table,
Right.
because we're always growing. And I have seen you, I mean, you manage obviously a big group of people. Now we're a big group. But I've also seen you do your most amazing work individually. And I know you poured a lot into me from the beginning, and I see you doing it with other people.
Yes.
What,
Okay.
yes.
So
Tell us about that.
I have my belief is that if it all looks the same, then it's average. So greatness is going to look different.
Okay.
And you can't be afraid of greatness. So when I see individuals, I'm not looking for average. And when you find somebody that you see greatness in, you have to pour into them and you have to treat them as individuals. So when I work with people, I kind of assess what strengths I see in them, what weaknesses I see in them, and then I get them comfortable enough to do self-analysis. And then from there, we kind of build a plan to make sure that they achieve what they want to achieve. It's very rare for me to be able to actually do any work that I have to do during the workday because I exist, from like 9 to 5 to assist and make sure the work doesn't stop for the individuals that I kind of manage. So that's kind of my philosophy.
Yes.
Stay away from average, find brilliant individuals, and I'm also kind of no nonsense. I tell people, hey, if you're looking to hide, this is not the organization for you.
Right.
If you're looking to be great, then you'll fit right in. So
You're sort of, and again, I'm going to speak a little bit because I know and I worked with Mr. for a while, but I think your sort of genius is the fact that you let individual know, like you say, their strengths and their weaknesses.
yes,
And then accept the weaknesses, because I know that's a process that I've accepted with you or working with you, is accept the weaknesses and then exploit the strengths and then grow them and then
Yes.
keep growing and then keep growing. And do you ever feel like there's a limit or there's something that you cannot teach a person? Or what is it that like I said, I've seen you pour so much into so many people to become the best version of themselves. And for me specifically, or personally, is to do things that we never thought were possible. And you give us challenges and
Yes.
and puts us in projects that sometimes it will make us uncomfortable, it will make us grow. And that's, like I said, I think that's the zone of genius that you have. It's just making people grow where they didn't think they could grow. Is there any limit? Is there any parameters? Is there anything that?
So I have a wonderful network of professionals that have mentored me.
Okay.
So I feel like I don't have to know everything. What I specialize in is problem solving. So when I work with individuals, if you were to boil it down to its basic format, I am building problem solvers. I don't believe in cloning myself. I believe that if I'm doing my job right, I should be the worst one in the room. And if I'm the worst person at that location, which I am, then it's a heck of an organization.
Yes.
So with that, what I try to do is the important part is being able to properly identify the problem. So you're not trying to fix something that is not broken. You're actually working, towards the things that need to be improved. And then I get people comfortable enough to improve it the way that they're best at improving things. It doesn't have to look like what I expect when I'm trying to solve a problem. When you do that, you really limit your innovation.
Yes.
So to encourage, I encourage individuals to put themselves into their work. And any question that I can't answer, I either go to one of my mentors, but I also encourage my group to have individual mentors. I'm an implementation specialist. I gave up learning particular skills to become like a people engineer.
Right.
I was a Six Sigma black belt. I've had all the trainings. I've done all that stuff. But most of those fall short as soon as you put people into the mix. So
Oh, yes.
if you wanna derail a plan, add people. So
Yes.
so to make sure that plans don't derail, um, I invest in people, and it's been really successful. I, technically, yes, I own, the company, but if you talk to the individuals who work there, they feel like they own it.
Right.
And that's how you know you're doing a wonderful job. They're bought in, they're dialed in, and they're invested. So
Yes, and I think I've heard you mention before, and I read a lot of books about executives and very successful people, and the thread is when you manage people, you just manage the people.
Right.
When you become a leader, you develop other
Yes.
leaders. How, like, what is your inspiration and motivation to do that?
most people are afraid of failing. So I remove. I try to remove the concern about making mistakes. Usually I typically start out by telling everybody, you'll never make more mistakes than I do. Matter of fact, I don't even try to be perfect. I'm aiming for like 80%. If I do 100 tasks, I'm just trying to get 80 correct, and the 20 I messed up just moves to the first 20 I do the following day once I figure out how to get it done. So once you remove the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, you can really start to attack problems as the problems are.
Right.
So that's really the key. I think most of the individuals, if not all of the individuals in the organization, are comfortable in their own skin, meaning they're not worried about making a mistake. So if you're not worried about making mistakes, then you're willing to push yourself. You're willing to go further than you think you can go. And that's really kind of like the secret to my success. I tell people it's more important to learn what not to do than to know what to do, because once you figured out what not to do, you can avoid that.
Yes.
And what's left is usually profitable.
Yes. And I am his best student on that aspect of making mistakes and learning from them and learning what not to do. But I can say personally, like I said, I see the team grow, and I see young people that you pour out to them and you bring out the brilliance in them. So ultimately, though, bottom line, you are a businessman.
Yes.
You have to pay your team.
Yes.
And you have to. And you allow them to make mistakes, and you allow them to grow, and you allow them to change gears. If they want to work on another project, they want to do that. And there's so much freedom in the organization, and there's so much trust within all of us. But you still have to make money at the end of the day.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you accept that and kind of communicate that to your team so that we don't lose track of that simple aspect that we have to make money because you have to pay every single one of them?
Yes. Yes. That is a very good question. I am not a short-term thinker, so I'm always playing the long game. It might take a little bit longer to grow personnel into a productive member of the team, but because of the investment up front, on the back end you get so much more out of those individuals. Comfortable, happy, wonderful people do wonderful work. I typically run into problems telling people to stop working, spend time with your family. I have those issues. So from a business standpoint, I'm an efficiency expert. I'm an implementation specialist. So I evaluate business processes and I reduce them down to their core areas. And where I sit, I only focus and spend the money on the core areas of the business so I can invest in the people. It's kind of unique, but it works. And if we have more time, we can go into that concept.
Yeah,
but
we're not bringing out spreadsheets. We're not bringing out spreadsheets.
Yeah,
here now.
I'll leave it there. But we're very, we'll say, frugal when it comes to, we'll say, hard assets for the business, because we do invest in people.
And you do pay your people very well, and a lot of people are very happy, and they come in here and they want to grow because they see the environment that we work in and how much you really pour into people. You have different ideologies for sure.
Yes.
I have a lot of experience in jobs, but I never work in an organization like this. And it's funny because I've worked next to you, and I've seen these things, but I never actually asked you the questions about what
Yes.
you're thinking. So, and one of the things that is very interesting in this industry of mental health, but you're a businessman, like I said, ultimately, but a lot of people in the mental health industry, they just want to do good.
Yes.
They just want to, they just want to pour into people. They just want to, do it for the goodness of their hearts, but they still want to get paid.
Right.
So, and you manage, your organization is full of mental health professionals. How do you convince them to do it for money, so that you make sure that you make the money to pay them, but so that we have a balance of
Yes.
that. I think that you've been very good at teaching us that balance. So share a little bit about that.
So, not a clinician.
Disclosure here.
But I view clinicians more like artists, and the passion that the clinician group has is absolutely fantastic. And with business, I kind of see myself as an artist. The only difference is it's hard numbers. It's like paint my numbers, if you will.
Yes.
So there's a small group of us where our sole purpose is focusing on the processes of the business. So I see myself as a road grader. Ultimately, in the field that we're in, it's what do we do for our end users, which would be our clients, and the experience they have. What I try to do is take everything off of the clinicians except for the clinical piece, so they can focus and put the client as number one. And as long as we do that, it typically works. Most of them say, I don't even want to know how the business part works.
Right.
I love what I'm doing. Let me focus on the client. Let me continue to do that. So we deliver the program, fundamentally exactly how it's laid out by our MCOs. And once we use that as our floor, so once we have that established, then we look at ways of enhancing the program. When you do that, you have less drawbacks. You pass your audits more frequently.
Right.
I think right now we're running at about less than 3%, pullbacks from our MCOs, and most of the time they might have overpaid us. Not that we billed or did anything wrong, so the pullbacks make sense. And since you only got to do it one time, you're like saving money. So I have all of our processes broken down by time. I know exactly how long it takes everything to do, so this way it's a lot easier to cost it.
Yes, if I could spend 5 seconds in your brain, I would probably make a lot more money right now, just because of the way that I see you manage the people, but also the money with the people. So it's a hard balance that that you don't see very often in this, especially in this industry. One of the questions I wanted to ask you. So give us a rundown about where ATO is right now and what's next for ATO.
Okay. That's a great story. I'm going to keep it business. ATO is in a fantastic position. What I love about where we are is it's forcing me to stretch. We've caught the eye of a lot of wonderful partners, outside partners, who appreciate what we do. So we're expanding into a lot of different areas. Immediately, by the end of this year, the plan would be to have an additional 6 locations outside of Region 6 or the Harris, County area. We're looking at the Dallas area. We're looking at San Antonio. I call it my Texas Triangle. And the beautiful thing is we have community partners already in those areas, so we're going in with a warm handshake instead of cold. The other thing I like is internally we're working to put together programs for our current roster of individuals, because the way I was groomed coming up, it's important to promote from within. So we're trying to put together training processes to help identify individuals who want more in this industry, and really put them on a track to help us grow, because somebody has to do this work. Why not the people who have already put their time in?
Right.
So we're doing more investment, in our current group, as well as looking to expand it. And the business processes, we're creating more companies because Medicaid is somewhat restrictive. And we've been so successful with Medicaid, but our services really translates to more than just the Medicaid population.
Right.
So we want to continue doing good for the Medicaid population, but there's people right on the fringe of that don't necessarily qualify that we're trying to figure out a way of helping as well.
Yes.
So.
And I know ATO is not the only business that you run, so you're looking into other opportunities and expansion. So we're talking about a man that can keep track of 3 or 4, 6 businesses at the same time, and the people that work with him, which is a lot.
It is.
So what advice would you give to a young, ambitious person that is entering the mental health field?
So as a provider or somebody who might want to own a company?
Maybe a company, yes. Let's keep it focused on the business side. So a young, ambitious person that just wants to get into this industry.
Patience. So the way the medical industry works is, you have to become credentialed. There's certain things that have to kind of fall in place. They can't be rushed because when you're dealing with state or insurances, it takes what it takes. And while you're sitting there trying to make sure that the foundation is set, you're pretty much doing nothing. So patience is first and foremost. Don't move until you have all of your credentialing. The second piece would be understand the programs that you're getting into.
Right.
I mean, from top to bottom, and don't overthink it. I tell people that there's no...
That's key right there, yes.
Yeah, there's no secret to what I do. If you ask me, well, how did you grow ATO? It's like I followed the program.
Right.
I'm not a clinician, but I can read.
Yes.
It says do this, do that, do this. That's what we did. And a lot of times when you start reading some of the documentation, you go, well, I wonder if, did they mean that? Did they mean this? And I go, a lot of talented people put these programs together. Think tanks were brought in. I go, they know what they want, deliver them exactly what they want, and then focus the what ifs on the enhancements for your customer base, your clients. So I don't think it's a difficult industry if you have patience and you're willing to put in the work. What I will say is there's no shortcuts.
Yes.
Yeah. The moment you start taking shortcuts in an industry this regulated is the moment you get in trouble.
Yes.
So no shortcuts, be patient, and be methodical.
Yes.
And success will come.
And I think one of the keys, especially for me as a clinician, because I am a clinician, but for me it's the not overthinking, because as a population we tend to do that, but seeing it from a business standpoint is very different. So it's a lot simpler, actually. It's a lot more simple to understand it from a business standpoint and just read the black and white and just do what it says. And like you said, just kind of enhance the program.
Yes.
After that.
Yes.
So,
don't change it, enhance it.
Right.
You get in trouble once you change.
Right.
Because it's not my program, I'm just proctoring it.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Last question.
Yes, ma'am.
What's next for Nathan Ford? Where to go next?
She asked that question because she knows I hate talking about myself.
And I didn't prep him for this one.
At all. What I love about ATO and the position I'm in is I genuinely love the people on my team. So I'm in it for the long haul. Every day I get up and I go, it's going to be challenging. It's wonderful. The arguments, the discussions that we do have is always about how do we improve things, the passion. It's just a wonderful work environment. So what I've done is doubled down on the people that I have employed. So now I want to try to help these individuals realize some of their dreams. For me, it's just me and my wife. So I'm not in it for the cash. I tell folks, man, look, 10 million or 100 million, like who am I going to leave it to? So I want to reinvest it into the people who are at ATO, and that's one of the reasons why we pay so well.
Right.
I'm not in it for the money. I love being paid to help people. So to me, that's an amazing opportunity. So I plan to honor it.
Yes.
And I'm always looking for ways to expand and grow it. We started some nonprofits, and one of the things that I just find phenomenal We fed over 500 families in like the span of a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the talented people that won't take
Right.
no for an answer. But to see the looks
That you
on,
poured into, and that you told them that they were capable of great things, and there you go.
Yeah,
They do great things.
yeah. Rules are made for common people.
Yes.
If you're not common, the rules don't apply. Figure out a way.
Exactly.
So and they did that, but just I wish people could see the looks on people's faces when they're picking these, like the boxes up, and we're filling the trucks and all of this thing. It's wonderful, and I love the position I'm in, and that's really what I want to do. My goal is to be able to position ATO, and you haven't heard this, no one else has heard this, but what I want to do is position it and then offer some buy-in for employees. So I'm working with my lawyer right now to kind of position it to give some opportunities. But no, I love it. I'm not that exciting as a person outside of business.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
So I really want to set this up for the long haul. I truly feel that the clientele that we serve, no one treats them better than we do.
Right. Right.
And I want to make sure it's lasting. So that's my goal. That's what's next for me.
And one of the things that I've always admired is that you have done for people, whether you make money out of them or not. You are and something that I admire about you and respect is that you're very good steward to the position that you have been given and the opportunity that you have, been given with, to not only the people that work closely with you, but to the community in general.
Yes.
I know that we do a lot of stuff for the community that you don't see if you make $1 or not.
Correct.
And that's just because you pour into people, whether they work for you or they're the community or anybody, any stranger. I mean, I've seen you make donations and things like that. So I just really appreciate. There's so much that we can talk about. There's so much that I can pick your brain and that I want to pick your brain about, but we'll leave it at this.
Okay.
And so I really want to thank you. Any last words that you want to share with your?
I just want to say thank you for having me on, and hopefully I didn't mess it up for you.
No, not this time. Thank you very much, and thank you guys for listening and to being here with us. I hope that you we picked the brain for. On Mr. Ford on the business side of things. Maybe we'll do a personal podcast later, but I still have some convincing to do. But we want to thank you very much, and you guys have a great day. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.